Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Jay Recher Podcast. Happy Monday to you and yours. It is May 19th, 2025. Man, hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe here on YouTube as well. Thank you, everybody, so much for all the love and support so far. Only on for an hour today, a power hour, because something special today. We are going, and as I adjust things here, only on for an hour today because after the show at 1 o'clock, I'll be heading over to One Buccaneer Place over at the Avon Health Training Center to see Simeon Rice. He's going to be inducted into the Buccaneers Ring of Honor here in 2025. So, got to get over there, get some pictures, get some video of Simeon, and he is going to take his rightful place in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Ring of Honor. So you'll see him get honored at Raymond James Stadium this season, and well-deserved. I mean, such a huge part of that team that won the Super Bowl back in 2002. And days like today are always fun because you get to see Simeon, you get to see his family, and you get to see some former Buccaneers, because today is not one of those days we're in the normal kind of press conference room. We are in like the big kind of auditorium thing. So if you've ever seen the old video of like Tom Brady kind of looking back and who's walking in the door, that's the auditorium that we're going to be in. So can't wait to be able to go out there and be able to see a guy get celebrated. There's so many negative things when you look at sports and social media and all these things. And very few times do we ever have a chance to, we spoke about this last week, give guys their flowers and show them some love. And Simeon's going to get that today. So can't wait to head over there. That's at 1:30. So off at 1 o'clock today. We're going to pack in as much as possible here in an hour. And, of course, we always want to hear from you. There is the link. It's right in the chat. So you can just click right there in the chat, the StreamYard link, whatever you want to talk about today. You can click on that link. You can join us via phone or via laptop and have your voice heard. Join us on the video call. We had a couple last week during our remembrance of the late, great Steve Dumig. If you missed any of the videos, any of the interviews from last week, it is right here on the channel. So, go check us out there, and always want to hear from you. Very interactive here on the Jay Recher Podcast, because this is a show for you. And there is nobody out there. I was thinking about this over the weekend, that there's nobody that's more dedicated to sports in the Tampa Bay area than myself. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm not saying that to be cocky. I'm just saying it because it's real. UT, USF, Rowdies, Sun, any of the pros teams, prep sports. This is what makes this show different than everything else. This isn't the same old bullshit that you're going to, all right, well, let's come up with a Mount Rushmore conversation, or let's come up with a conversation that has nothing to do with what's pertinent going on in the sports world and just make something and pull something out of our ass. No, let's talk about stuff that's actually going on in our area. Let's talk about some things that are going on in the sports world, maybe outside of Tampa Bay, that people are afraid to have discussions on. That is not going to happen on the show. We're going to touch on a little bit of everything. So, good stuff there. And Quiggins, we did enjoy watching Toronto get decimated. I said this last week, and I was surprised. Listen, I got to put my hand up. I did not think they were going to win Game 6, and good on them. However, the real Toronto Maple Leafs showed themselves in Game 7 last night, getting absolutely thrashed at home. And I have no sympathy, empathy, anything for any of those people that are telling me that the Toronto Maple Leafs are a team that is going to win the Stanley Cup like at the beginning of every year. All these pundits, all these so-called experts telling me this year is going to be different for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Well, was it? Because it didn't look like that to me. Same old team, same team not showing up when it mattered most. And you see Mitch Marner yelling at his teammates on the rink, on the ice. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. And everybody wanted to act like that was a big deal. That's fire. That's fire. That's emotion. That's energy. That's passion. No, that's the guy that's not done jack shit in game seven, excuse me. And an absolute failure, fraud, any other F word you want to use when it comes to the roster that was put together by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Probably the least amount of productivity you got from the most amount of talent, maybe in sports history in the last decade. You had John Tavares saying, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying on Long Island with the Islanders. And he goes back, pajama boy, to Toronto to play for the Maple Leafs. Never got past the second round. Austin Matthews, a lot of people think is the greatest player, American player right now. Again, disappearing in big moments. Mitch Marner, again, I think one of the more overrated hockey players in the game. And then Nylander, who I think has got a lot of talent, but he's another guy, like shows up, disappears, shows up, disappears. And then you have Craig Berube, their head coach last night saying, oh, I wouldn't say the moment's too big for them, but there's a problem between their ears. Listen, bud, if you have professional athletes and they can't get over the hump and it's between their ears, then the moment probably is too big for them. You can't keep making excuses. And now you have a Stanley Cup winning head coach in Craig Berube who couldn't get him over the hump. I still think they need help in goal. Still think they need help on defense. They just need an overhaul. And that team is going to look significantly different next year. Ryan says Max Pacioretty didn't show up. He did show up earlier in the series. I've never been a big Max Pacioretty fan, but he did show up. But yeah, again, I mean, he was another guy, I think, very overrated player with the Canadiens. I mean, when you get opportunity after opportunity after, and you play a ton of, people want to look at regular season statistics and like, oh, this guy had 100 points, or this guy had this, or this guy had that. At the end of the day, it's about winning. You get judged by the successes, how your team does. You don't want to be a yeah, but guy. Oh, he's got all these points, but all right, that's fine. That Toronto Maple Leafs team, listen, that's all they are. Yeah, but. And now it's going to look different next year. I think Marner goes somewhere. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to does he go to Pittsburgh and play with Sid, play under his former GM? Because I don't think there's any way that Mitch Marner goes back. Not a chance. Some people are saying the Red Wings. That could be another opportunity. What Detroit does, I think, is very interesting. I still think they're going to be in on Sam Bennett. I think that's the kind of guy that Steve Yzerman likes. But don't be surprised if Mitch Marner ends up going there too. All right. Before we get to Ian Beckles, because he's our lone guest today, because, again, we're only on an hour. It's Power Hour here on the Jay Recher Podcast. Ian Beckles is going to join us at 12:30. We're going to hear from him about his thoughts on a guy like Simeon Rice getting inducted into the Bucks Ring of Honor and all things NFL. But I want to talk about the state of baseball here in the Tampa Bay area. And I want to hear from you. And, there's the link in the chat. What's up, Bart and Ryan and everybody that's tuning in today? I told you guys before the weekend that if the Rays were serious about really making a push to be a factor in the American League East, this was not only a weekend series that they had to win, but a weekend series that they had to sweep. And then what happens? They lose 2 of 3 to the lowly Marlins. Even now, after losing 2 of 3 to the Marlins are 18-27. The Rays are 21-25, 11-17 at home. They're 10-8 on the road. And everybody, again, you talk to any Rays apologist, it's like, oh, well, this, and oh, well, that, and well, they did this, and these guys are coming back, and Josh Lowe's hitting better. That's great. Josh Lowe is back. That's great. But you can't lose to the Marlins. 9-4 on Friday night. You're giving 9 runs up to the Marlins. Taj Bradley, opportunity to go out there and set the tone. His ERA is 4.8 this year. 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 runs given up, 3 walks. Mason Montgomery, everybody tells me how great his arm is. His ERA is over 5. 1/3 of an inning, a hit and 3 runs given up. What are we doing? Tip the hat to Drew Rasmussen on Saturday. I thought he's fantastic. That is the kind of performance. And listen, all these different names and all these highly touted prospects, Drew Rasmussen is that guy year in, year out when he's healthy that continues to do his thing. no walks because he doesn't ever walk anybody, 4 hits, 6 scoreless innings, 5 punch-outs. His ERA is 2.93. And then on Sunday, okay, Friday didn't work out so well. Sunday, let's bounce back. Let's do our thing. You have Shane Baz on the mound. These are not the kind of lines that you want to see from Shane Baz. 6 innings pitched, 9 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 2 K. His ERA is over 5. And I thought early on in the season, you look at those first couple of starts, man, this could be a big-time year for Shane Baz. He's finally healthy. He's on the opening day roster. And then you just look at these last couple of outings. Just look at the last 4 outings. In San Diego, he was fantastic. 7 innings, 4 hits, no runs given up. Ever since, it's tough to even look at this. In his last 4 starts, Shane Baz has given up 21 earned runs. How do you expect to win that way? Kansas City, Philly, Toronto, Miami. I mean, for all the talk of the strengths for the Tampa Bay Rays, well, this is good, and this is bad, and this is going to work. I don't want to hear anything about guys being young or they'll figure it out. When? Pitching and defense is supposed to be this team's calling card. Does anybody out there really have faith that the Rays are going to turn this around? Really? I mean, everything has to go well. Could, would, should, if, this, that. I mean, my God. At what point does this team really look at that? Like, do changes need to be made with this team? Like, I don't even, we're just chilling. Like, this team is just chilling. We're like, yeah, that's fine, man. Everything's going on. Oh, the injuries again. Like, it feels like there's people like writing off the season already. They're 45, 46 games into the season. We're writing it off already? Yeah, well, all I hear is excuses when it comes to the Rays. 46 games into the season, and people are already telling me, well, if this guy's hurt, well, this guy's coming back. They're going to play better. All right, now you're home tonight against Houston. Your record at home is putrid, 11-17. Is that supposed to make you feel good about this club? I mean, Yandy Diaz, and we spoke about him last week, batting average is 243. For this team that tries to move on from guys, they kept Yandy Diaz, and I was like, you're keeping Yandy Diaz? You have Jonathan Aranda, you have Trey Morgan, you have these guys down the pipeline, Xavier Isaac, and you're keeping Yandy Diaz. That has not worked out. Brandon Lau, everybody always wants to compare him to another second baseman. He's batting 217. Junior Caminero, this end-all, be-all, the savior, he's batting 235. Christopher Morel is batting 209. Taylor Walls is batting 198. Ben Rorfred's batting .96. I mean, something's got to give. At what point do we continue looking at this team and saying they are what they are? They are what their record says they are. People keep telling me they're a 500 team. Are they? They don't look like a 500 team. You can't tell me they're a 500 team if you go to Miami and lose 2 out of 3 to the Marlins. Jacobian, I'm not going to say the season is lost, but it's going downhill fast. I think our pitching staff is 19th in the league. Yikes. There you go. For all the talk about the hitters and what they're not doing, the pitchers aren't doing their thing either. Mario, you bring up a point. Oh, good point. At least the Rays are in Baltimore right now. I guess that's right. And it's crazy because when people and I heard something over the weekend of this is a baseball town because of the Rays. I don't think so. You think the Rays? You think Tampa's a baseball town because of the Rays? I wouldn't agree with that sentiment at all. I think the Rays. I think that Tampa's a baseball town because of the amount of major leaguers that come here, the amount of kids that are on a baseball field over the weekend, the amount of high school teams that are badass and playing in the state Final Four, the Whartons, the Alonzos, the Bloomingdales, the Jesuits. How about University of Tampa, the best D2 program in the country? That, to me, the Al Lopez's, the Lou Pinellas, the Fred McGriffs and Luis Gonzalez and Tino Martinez and Wade Boggs and Pete Alonso's and Kyle Tuckers of the world, that's why Tampa's a baseball town. Not because of the Tampa Bay Rays, unfortunately. And it's crazy because you look at what happened over the weekend here in Tampa while the Rays were losing in Miami. I was on the call for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday over at Red McEwen Field for the USF series against East Carolina. Now, ECU has been at or near the top of the American Athletic Conference. That team is balling. And USF won 2 of 3. They lose the first game Thursday night. They bounce back with a great performance from Corey Braun, and the rest of the guys out there on Friday. And then Saturday, another victory against the Pirates. And you look at what Mitch Hannes has done in year one, and I know he's got a media availability at 12:30. I unfortunately can't make it. But you look at what Mitch Hannes has been able to do in year one, coming over from Indiana State, amazing. The American Athletic Conference tournament starts tomorrow in Clearwater, and the USF has the number 3 seed. They are the 3 seed. There's 10 teams in the American. They didn't even make the conference tournament last year because only 8 of the first top 10 teams make it. They're 3rd. They went from not even being in the conference tournament to now 3rd. So they play East Carolina tomorrow night at 7:30. Hopefully, you guys can get out there to Clearwater. I'll see you guys out there. Make sure you come by and say hello. But winning 2 of 3 against East Carolina is not something that we've seen in the last couple of years. Trending in the right direction. And then how about UT? I was out there yesterday. It was hot. But the University of Tampa in regionals against Mississippi College, they go down 8-1. And I remember looking in the dugout and looking at Joe Urso, looking at Sam Militello and Jose Jimenez and the entire coaching staff, unflappable. No issue whatsoever. No panic, no nothing. They're ready to go. I was like, wow. That is what winning looks like. That is what success looks like. You could be down 8-1. You're not freaking out. You're not yelling at everybody. You're not getting on your players. You're just calm, cool, and collected. You play the game the right way, you're going to be able to come back. And that's what they did. They chipped away, and they chipped away, and they chipped away, and they battled back. And then you get to the bottom of the 9th inning after Braden Woodburn hits his second of 2 home runs to make it a 1-run game. Cole Russo, a kid right here from the Tampa Bay area, Jesuit high school product, RBI single down the right field line to tie the game at 8 apiece. Then you go to the bottom of the 10th inning, and Joe Urso, the head coach, his son, J.D. Urso, who made an error earlier on in the game that led to 2 runs, the last 2 runs that Mississippi College got, he comes up, walk-off RBI single, 9-8, Spartans win. What a day at the Birdcage. But that right there, when you go watch, and it doesn't get more Tampa baseball than Urso and Russo doing their thing. And to see all the Russos out there, all the Ursos, and all the people here from the Tampa Bay area that were at that game yesterday supporting the Spartans in their regional matchup before Super Regionals this weekend against West Florida. Baseball is the lifeblood of this city. But again, there is such a disconnect between our community and the Rays. And it's gotten slightly better, I guess, at Steinbrenner. It's kind of cool because I know UT is actually going to the game today over at Steinbrenner Field. But I watch these teams play, and I watch how fans are just dying for USF to be competitive, and they're getting it now. And looking at UT and just seeing how many great players are in and around that program. How we have a guy like Joe Madden on last week, and he tells you how much he loves a guy like Joe Urso, how they coach together in the Angels system, how Joe played in the Angels system, how Sammy Militello, who used to play for the Yankees, is their pitching coach, Jose Jimenez in the minor leagues. Like, there's just the Rays need to really understand, and I don't even know if it's the team, but the organization as a whole, like, apathy is the worst for people to be like, about the Rays right now. Like, if you had a choice to talk about the Rays, are you going to talk about them? Because what do you really say? What can you break down that's so much different than other series? It's the same thing over and over and over. It seems like if they don't get a big hit in the 3rd or 4th inning or 5th inning or the bases loaded, it's like they're not going to win. You need a performance like you got on Saturday from Drew Rasmussen for this team to be competitive. And it's just tired. It's the same thing over and over and over. I mean, listen to Adam right here. Can't name 5 Rays players right now. And I think about the fun factor. I think about what it takes for teams to usually be successful, there's got to be a familiarity with the team. And I don't organizationally, I mean, we could talk about that stuff till we're blue in the face. They don't spend enough money, right? We want to blame Stu Sternberg. Is this a byproduct of that? Is the team's play dissipating over the last couple of years because of, what's going on? Is everything that's going on off the field affecting what's going on the field? Because all the things that the Rays used to be good at, they're not good at anymore. It's not the same thing. I mean, you look at the statistics, and we'll bring them up right now. For the team ERA, we'll go to pitching. I'm going to share my screen with you guys because we'll look at it together. Bring it up. Team ERA. The Rays are 15th. If you pride yourself on pitching and defense, your ERA cannot be 3.91. You guys know I love my whip stat. Look at the whip. It's better. 122. Okay. I'll take that. Not too bad. At the end of the day, it comes down to runs. Don't give up runs. 12th. Okay. So you're between 9 and 15. Okay, I understand that. But to me, when you look at this Rays team, if you are going to be competitive and you're telling everybody that, hey, our pitching's going to be good, and if this guy comes back and you do, and then that's where your numbers are, I'm sorry, you're not going to be successful. And then you're not getting any help on the offensive side. I mean, Ben Rorfed's batting average is under 100. I don't understand why the way that the roster has been constructed, that we cannot get guys that can hit better than that. I don't understand. Russell, this is what was expected. People who think the stadium ownership stuff isn't going to affect the players on the diamond, they're crazy. And I don't know if it's one of those things, Russ, where the players are thinking about it because they have to go out there and play. I just think the construction of the roster is just not good. You're always banking on guys that are coming back. And there's always, well, if this works, should, could, would. That's not a way to build a team. Because the consistent thing with this team that makes them successful is they're pitching in their defense, and they're not even doing it. Well, if this guy can bounce back and this guy, Hassan Kim, can come back and we can get McClanahan. Like, what's the deal with Shane McClanahan? When's he coming back? Let's look at the starters for the Rays then. We look at the team as a whole, okay? Let's look at players. We'll bring it up here for you guys. Well, let's look at the pitching for the Rays. We'll bring it up. Russ, I'm with you. Hold on. Let me pull that up, buddy. All right, here we go. Shane Boss, 3-3 with a 5.33 ERA. Not good enough. Ryan Pepio, 2-5 with a 3.93 ERA. Okay. I mean, win-loss, I know it doesn't only have to do with the pitcher, but the ERA 3.93. Okay. Probably too high for Ryan Pepio. Taj Bradley, 3-3 with a 4.80 ERA. Drew Rasmussen, 2-4 with a 2.9 ERA. Zach Littell, 3-5 with a 4.3. Look at Mason Montgomery with that ERA. Edwin Ucedo, who was fantastic last year, ERA over 5. Like, I mean, this is just average. This is run-of-the-mill. This is middle of the road. That is not good enough. It's not good enough. And when I watch this team, I want them to be good. I want them to play entertaining ball. And you're relying on guys like Chandler Simpson. Like, Chandler Simpson was a guy, and just think about it like that. Chandler Simpson is a guy that is the most exciting Rays player since Randy Rosarena. The way he can affect the game with his speed, the way he affects the game with his defense in the outfield. But he didn't even make the team out of training camp. I say training camp, spring training. So that guy, that's where there's an imbalance here. And I say the same thing with the Lightning. Just because guys do a good job doesn't mean we don't critique the things that they do. And it doesn't mean that everything they do is correct. Julian Breezeball and Double E and I were going back and forth this week. Like, there's no cookie cutter. There's no sugarcoating it. Julian Breezebois made some mistakes. You don't trade all of that for Tanner Jeannot and then everybody think it was a good idea. You can't sign Connor Sheary to a 3-year deal. Cam Atkinson, not a good trade. The whole Isaac Howard thing, the way he handled the Steven Stamkos situation, not good. Does it mean he sucks? Does it mean he's terrible? Does it mean I think you should get rid of him? Does it take away all the other things that he did that was right? No. I think the same thing has to. We do that. It's a weird thing. Like we're so quick to, for certain people in this town, when it comes to coaches or front office members, like certain guys get a pass. Other guys, they do one thing wrong. It's Todd Bowles does one thing wrong, get rid of him. No talk of, wow, he's done a pretty good job with this team. He's getting better. He's learning how to delegate more. He's changing up his coaching staff, right? Too many ifs for him, right? It's just not, it's not the same. But a guy like Kevin Cash, who's multi-time manager of the year, right? He gets a pass. Doesn't mean that everything he does is right. The same thing for Eric Neander. And I know he's on the radio every single Friday with T-Kraz, and you know, he talks about all the things that's going on, and he spins it in a way to create a positive. But, you know, he's frustrated too. The Rays can't continue to keep going like this, because you know what's happening is that all these things that the Rays were using to formulate and populate and to get their team better, other teams are picking them up. What do you think happens when these teams bring in Rays people? They take their ideas. Remember when everybody looked at the Rays funny when they were doing the shift? Then who started doing it? Everybody. Remember when people said the Rays were out of their minds for using an opener? Oakland used it in the freaking wild card game. People started doing it all over the league. People still do it. This Rays team, and I'm looking at Eric Neander and these guys that decide to make these decisions regardless of what their payroll is, it hasn't been right. Is it fair that he has to deal with a low payroll? And is it that's not up to me, and nor do I care. You've been successful in the past. You haven't been successful the last couple of years. And you can tell me the Wander Franco thing's hurt, and I get it. That's fine. They were 13-0 a couple of years ago. But all of those good vibes from the 2020 World Series and everything that was going on with Wander Franco in the year a couple of years ago when they were 13-0, we're getting farther and farther away from that. Too many times in sports, we get stuck on one team, 1 year, one player, one coach. And that's the exception to the rule. That's the aberration. That's the difference. Well, look at their winning. Look at what their record is the last couple of years. You know, the only teams that are better than them are this team, and this team. You're not going to be able to use that statistic anymore when you're not making the playoffs. You didn't make the playoffs last year. Does it look like if you had to put your house on it, to steal a Ian Beckles quote, if you had to put your house on it, do the Rays make the playoffs this year? If you say yes, you're lying to yourself. So fine, you go next year and then you can't use that. Well, the best winning percentage in the last, you can't use that argument anymore. Then what? What do you do to change it? Because it's the same thing. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's what we're getting with the Rays. Well, just wait. The cavalry is coming. What prospect have you looked at when it comes to the Tampa Bay Rays that has exceeded expectations? We talk about it with Bryce Harper and LeBron James and all these different guys. Now we know what these athletes are all about from the prep level. These guys in high school are social media mavens, college level, minor leagues, and then the pros. Like, how many Rays players have lived up to the billing? Not a lot. Everybody was saying how great Richie Schaefer was and how great Taylor Walls was and Vidal Brujan, how great he was, right? Jonathan Ron is good this year. But Junior Caminero going into this season, the Rays were perfectly fine with putting this 21-year-old kid starting at third base every day and smack dab in the middle of the lineup, and the guy's batting .240. People are telling me he's the number one prospect in baseball. Does that look like the number one prospect in baseball? I don't care what he does in the winter leagues. That doesn't mean jack shit to the Tampa Bay Rays. Josh Lowe can't stay healthy. Now he's back, which is good. Do you think Josh Lowe is going to go the rest of the season without going back on the IL? I'm not putting my house on that. There's so many coulds and shoulds and woulds and if, ands, and buts with the Tampa Bay Rays. It's exhausting. people are getting tired of the Rays, and whether they want to believe it or not, it's happening because there's a lot more things to do. And guess what? It's May 19th and summer's coming. School's about to be out. There's going to be a lot more things for people to do than go sit in the sun outside at Steinbrenner Field and watch the Rays play. All right, let's bring him in for our weekly visit. The one and only Ian Beckles. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Wagwan. How you doing, dude?
I like that hat, man. Chainbow.
Chainbow reverse style. Bam. See me?
Nice. Did you get that today?
Yesterday I got a hat delivered, you know.
Nice. You know? How's the team looking? We're looking.
I'll be honest with you, Jay. We're actually very talented at the skill positions. So we have a good young quarterback. We got some good receivers. We got some good skill players. As far as the line goes, can't quite say the same. We just don't have a lot of players that have ever played the line. So I wish I could say, like last year at this time, I was humming and hawing, but I had returning starters that knew how to play offensive line. I just had to kind of refine them a little bit. This year, I'm literally given a nasty lump of discombobulated clay, and I got to make something out of it. So we'll see.
I think so. Is sometimes that better though because you have no bad habits, or is it just no? Not you want something?
Yeah, you got to have something to mold. When I have to teach kids their stance, like today, I was at practice and I had to stop 5 kids and go, "That's not a stance." Like their foot is ahead and their right hand is ahead, and I'm like, these are things I learned this when I was 7. You know, so when you get to this point and your kids are 16, 17 years old and you got to teach them the right stance, the odds of them becoming a good football player are not great.
Beck, we just got the news here a couple of days ago that Simeon Rice is going into the Buccaneers Ring of Honor. I'm heading over to One Buck here in a little bit. Just talk about that decision from the Buccaneers. I mean, one of the best pass rushers that this franchise has ever seen, you know, a borderline Hall of Famer, but don't know if he'll get in, but he's definitely getting into the Ring of Honor. And I know there's a lot of people here in the Bay Area very happy about that.
Well, Simeon, you're saying one of the better pass rushers the Bucs have ever seen. He's one of the better pass rushers that the league has ever seen. Because when I was in Philadelphia, he was in Arizona, and Trey Thomas was our left tackle, and he was a rookie. And Trey Thomas, he wasn't quite Tristan Wirfs good, but Trey Thomas was really freaking good. And I remember Simeon Rice being the only guy that just had him his lunch his rookie year, and he just didn't have an answer. So by the time Simeon got here, I knew what kind of player he was, and you put him beside Sapp, and like Sapp doesn't need nobody, but Simeon makes him better. With Simeon out there, it just had a lot for people to deal with. So I'm okay with him going in the Ring of Honor, and in a lot of ways, he was underrated.
What is there a player out there that you look at and said they aren't in the Ring of Honor that should be?
Yeah, Tony Mayberry one, Martin Gramatica maybe another one. Those are just two that go off the top of my head.
Grammatica's not in the Ring of Honor?
No, because I know that Mike Calta for sure has been pushing to get Gramatica in the Ring of Honor. Yeah, that's a fact.
That's surprising, no?
I mean, what do we know what the parameters are to go in? Okay, because Tom Brady's going to go in, right? What did he play here? 3 years? I mean, is it just the Super Bowl? You know, Tony Mayberry started here for 9 years. You know, Gramatica is one of the more, you know, well-known players. So it's a little bit of popularity, but I don't even know where they even start, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, 99 to 2004. I mean, 6 years. I mean,
6 good years, too.
Yeah, I mean, and also a guy, too, like, you know, doing this. He's on the Spanish broadcast. Like, he's a great guy. Like, I mean, you want to talk about Ring of Honor, you can kind of stretch it a little bit as far as like not just numbers, right? How the guy is. Like, you're allowed to kind of change. This isn't the Hall of Fame, right? The Ring of Honor. I mean, you have owners in there, you have coaches in there, so I think changes a little bit. But yeah, I think Martin should definitely get in there as well. I saw something today with Frankie Louvu, the linebacker from Washington, saying that the tush push is kind of a cheapy play and it should be banned. And we're having more and more of that discussion. I know we talked about this a couple months ago, but what do you make of a linebacker? And it's a pretty good one too for a good team in Washington, saying that it's kind of a cheapy play, you know, because obviously he's going against it twice a year in the division.
Well, I mean, if I'm a coordinator and offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, I I'm elated to know that linebackers from other division,
Right.
foes hate a play that we run and we're so good at.
Mm-hmm.
All that tells me is that they can't figure it out. So when you can't figure something out, you're going to see it more. So my whole thing is this, okay? We're all able to grab all of the Philadelphia Eagle film, every bit of it,
Mm-hmm.
and find out what they're doing. I'm gonna compare it to this. I'm gonna compare it to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's skyhook. Fuck you if you don't like it.
Right.
Do it. You can do it. Go ahead and do it.
Yep.
So if anybody, there's nothing that says everybody can. You could put Vita Vea and that new fat son of a gun that came from Florida and a bunch of guys in there and just burrow holes. You can do anything you want, but nobody else can do it. So I think for me, I would ask you the question: if it's just the technique that everybody hates, because that seems like what everybody hates is the technique. Who else can do it? Because who else has a quarterback that squats 600 pounds?
Right.
We don't. I don't know any other quarterback in the league that squats 600 pounds. So get you a quarterback who's a field general that can throw the ball and squat 600 pounds, and you could do it too. They just don't exist.
How much would you love the tush push if you were playing?
It's funny. I just like to run the ball, period. Okay? If we run the ball, if we do tush push 10 times in a row, that's my game. But I heard it from a different perspective. Tony Mayberry, who obviously of the aforementioned should be in the Ring of Honor, he was like, as a center, it's god awful. And I never really thought about it, but a center can't get as low as me. You can't. It's impossible. You couldn't snap the ball. So he has to be somewhat upright, and everybody else is barreling. It's a lot coming at you. Okay. Yeah. There's 4 defensive linemen. There's linebackers all pushing into you. Somebody's pushing on you. Kelsey retired right soon after the tush push.
Yeah.
The center for the Eagles, I believe, had a bad back. So is it something to do with the tush push? I don't know. But for me as an offensive lineman, you can't run the ball enough. I mean, if we don't ever throw the ball, I'm good.
Yeah, you're good with that. That's what you want.
Yeah.
Speaking of contracts, Brock Purdy just got paid.
Yeah, he did.
$265 million deal with the 49ers. I mean, this dude, from Mr. Irrelevant to $265 million. What do you make of the Brock Purdy deal? Do you think, I don't want to say was he worth it, but I mean, man, you're talking about a team that you're starting to lose some pieces here. I'm very intrigued with San Francisco because this team is changing. No Deebo Samuel anymore. Trent Williams is getting older. Fred Warner's getting older. Some of these guys on defense have gone to different spots. Like, I have good coach in Shanahan, but you just paid your guy. Part of the reason why they were able to keep all those other guys is because Brock Purdy wasn't making jack shit. Now he's making over $50 million a year. What do you make of the contract? Do you think that's going to inhibit them from building a primo roster to stay amongst the elite? Because I think we even saw it last year. They took a step back big time. And there's other teams in the NFC that are, I mean, you look at some of these teams in the NFC, Detroit's there, the Eagles are there, the Redskins are building, the Bears are building, the Vikings are building, the Packers are building. And it's just like, you see all these other teams going in one direction, and it looks like San Francisco is going in the opposite.
Well, if you ask me, is it going to hold them back? The answer is yes. Okay, because the long and short of it is, if you have a quarterback that's making $5 million playing like Brock Purdy, I mean, that's a bargain like you can't believe. If you have a quarterback that's worth $50 million playing like Brock Purdy, people are going to start questioning him, okay? Because $50 million is supposed to come with a Super Bowl or appearances and stuff like that. You were talking earlier about Mr. Brisebois, who kind of gets a pass. It's funny how you can take these one organization or the other two organizations, and then they could do the same thing, and they're all going to be perceived differently. Right. I think it's the same with an NFL quarterback, because sometimes I hear people judge and rate NFL quarterbacks, and I don't know what they're watching, okay? I heard somebody the other day go, Brock Purdy is so mid. His statistics are not mid. They're not, okay? I've heard people say Justin Herbert's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, what would make you think that? I've heard people say that Lamar Jackson's overrated. What are you watching? So,
Mhm.
my boy Kyler Murray, he's a great quarterback. Like, quarterback position is a tough thing, to evaluate because 10 people could watch Kyler Murray. 5 can. I don't think Kyler Murray's a great quarterback. I've
Mhm.
never really seen him play great. No, I do know that he may do okay in fantasy because he may run for a touchdown and get some rushing yards. At the end of it, he doesn't win. And in crunch time, he's never showed up. Justin Herbert could be the same damn thing. How many years are we going to watch Justin Herbert and say
Right.
he's good and for him not to do anything?
Right.
So it's one of those things where the perception and the way people look at others is crazy. But to me, Brock Purdy, if he was Lamar Jackson and was well, Lamar Jackson's not a great example because he wasn't a high draft pick. If he was like Baker Mayfield, when Baker Mayfield got into the league, he was almost a bust.
Mhm.
And then when you fail and come back and play good, forget about great. He's never played like the first pick in the draft. But now it feels like we got a steal because we got him off the trash heap. But when
But
he
it wouldn't
put,
be, yeah. It wouldn't
you
be
know what I'm
like that
saying?
if we
So
drafted him the number one. Yeah.
exactly. So it's one of those things where Jameis Winston wasn't a terrible quarterback. He wasn't a good quarterback. But if he was a 6th or 7th rounder, we'd be talking highly about Jameis Winston. So a lot of times the way where you're picked is a perception of somebody when you should actually just evaluate their film and how they compare to other people at the same position.
Yeah, and I think you say where they get drafted. I think you look at the Baker. I think it's to take it a step further. I think it's how you get on the team,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yep.
we don't look at Baker as the number one overall pick here because the Bucks didn't draft him.
Correct.
We look at Baker Mayfield as the guy that was like it went down and up. And you just mentioned Justin Herbert. I looked it up. Daniel Jones has more playoff victories than Justin Herbert.
There you go.
Think
But
about
Daniel
that.
Jones is god awful, and Justin Herbert is this guy. He's going to make $45 million. It's weird, but not saying Daniel Jones is good. I just hear too many people saying Justin Herbert's good, and he might have a great arm and he might have great pocket presence or whatever, but it doesn't equate to victories.
Well, it hasn't yet. And then
No,
that's the thing too, is like the narrative does change, right? Because if we were having this discussion 5 years ago about Baker Mayfield, you're like, wow,
yeah.
that's not going to work. That's and I'm just thinking about the quarterbacks this year, like who can change their narrative the most. And it's tough to think about that. And I think you just mentioned him. I think Justin Herbert's probably the guy this year. You have Jim Harbaugh now, another year, another draft, another free agency. Like there's some put up or shut up years coming up for NFL quarterbacks. And I think you just mentioned 2 of them. I think you could add Trevor Lawrence to that list because Trevor Lawrence is another guy, right? There's a lot of, outside of the guys that are at the top of the heap, right? Outside of the Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, I'd even put Baker Mayfield. Like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know if Baker, and I'm not saying he's at that level, but I don't know if necessarily Baker Mayfield's in a prove it year, right? Do you agree with that? I don't think he's in a prove it year. I think he's just been, you kind of know what he is, and the Bucks like him, and you go from there. I think he's a notch above a lot of these other guys, right? I don't look at, Jaden Daniels and think it's a prove it year. It's his second year in the league. Like, is he going to regress? Maybe, probably. It's just the way it goes. But if he does, nobody's going to be surprised. I still think he's a franchise quarterback. But there's these quarterbacks in the league that you just mentioned. I added Trevor Lawrence to the list. Where did all of them get? No, Lawrence is number 1 overall. Murray's number 1 overall. Herbert got picked a little bit later but those are 3 first-round picks, Ian, that do we really know who they are? Do we really know? Like, if you told me going into the season that the Chargers somehow, because of their coach, and they go to the AFC Championship game and Herbert plays really well, and you're like, hey, that's a step in the right direction. Okay, that's what he's supposed to do. But if he does it again and he makes the playoffs, or he misses the play, or they lose in the first round, I'm not going to be surprised either. It takes a while to judge these quarterbacks, but I think there's a lot of prove it years because, you've been watching this game for a long time. What do we really know about Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, and Kyler Murray as far as what they are as a quarterback in their totality? I still think the book is yet to be written, and it's certainly, I don't think great.
Well, Trevor Lawrence to me is another guy that made me shake my head and wonder why the hell you pay him that much money. Because once again, I just don't see the intangibles of a winning NFL quarterback. I see a good-looking young kid that may be marketable. He may sell some jerseys. But on the football field, I don't see him doing a lot to make everybody around him better. Kyler Murray is the same way because Kyler Murray is that dime piece that can't cook. He's that pretty girl at the club
10 to
that
a 7.
you can pick them up, but they ain't worth a shit. Like, to me, Kyler Murray looks great playing shitty. You know what I mean? Like, he'll spin off of two guys and do this and do his little bitty feet moving, and he'll make some amazing athletic plays. But is he a good quarterback? How often does he come back in the pocket within the system and deliver the football? I don't see him doing that often. The other name I would put in this little list is Bryce Young, okay? When he came out, he was this highly sought-after guy. He's supposed to be the shit. Played like shit his first year, or maybe his first 2 years, maybe 1 year, I don't really know. Last year, showed glimpses in maybe 3-4 games. All of a sudden, he's up and coming. What? You know what I mean? Like, what has he done to make you think that he's good now? He's not. He hasn't won anything. So just because you have little stints of looking good in a game doesn't tell me anything, especially if you pick that high. And quarterbacking, if Jameis Winston, I hate to use Jameis as an example because he's a wild card. He's out there. But somebody like, we'll use Baker Mayfield as an example. If Baker Mayfield was drafted on a team with great leadership, great offensive line, a running back, he doesn't have to be the leader on his team. He may be talking about Hall of Fame. I'm being serious about that because now you can get comfortable somewhere. You can, you stick your tent poles down. This is my spot. He hasn't been able to do that till his 6th year in the NFL. So what happens as you grow as a player has a lot to do with the way you develop. Because we're looking at Baker now, and he seems to be progressing even this late in his season, in his career. Imagine he would have done that early in his career. I just don't think he had the ability to do it.
You think Aaron Rodgers is going to play for the Steelers this season?
Listen, Jay, you know what I think of Aaron Rodgers. And
I'm not asking you because I don't want to ask you if you think he's going to be good, but I feel like you're going into the season with Mason Rudolph and I think who was it, Will Howard or somebody they got to be waiting for Aaron Rodgers, and it's a weird thing that Mike Tomlin and the Steelers team is seemingly putting all their eggs in this basket of Aaron Rodgers, because even if he does, come in on his white horse and think he's going to save the day, like I just don't know how this is going to work out for Pittsburgh.
Well, I'm going to say this, Jay. Once again, I'm not on team Aaron Rodgers by any means. I mean, to me, he's the number one guy. I just can't stand him. There's nothing about Aaron Rodgers that I could stand. But anybody who's even an Aaron Rodgers fan or a detractor, it doesn't matter, but you have to admit what I'm about to say. Regardless of the year and the situation, Aaron Rodgers makes sure you're going to talk about him all the fucking time.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. We've been talking about Aaron Rodgers since the last play of the season. The whole way through. It's crazy. Every offseason, we have to talk about Aaron Rodgers, ayahuasca, not showing up to minicast, blah, blah, blah. It's never good. And everybody tries to explain how he's still good. When was the last time he was great? I don't get it. He's another guy. He talks a great game and he goes on shows and he's marketable and blah, blah, blah. But when I see him on the football field, I see Tom Brady at the end of his career. That's what I see. I see somebody not trying to get hurt, not taking chances, not throwing bad balls, throwing balls away to not make himself look bad. I just see somebody who's holding on and still telling us he's good, because I haven't seen Aaron Rodgers be great now. It seems like it's been half a decade.
Yeah, it's been way too long. What's going on at the Dignitary Cafe, brother?
Well, brother, we hustling every day. Actually, this Memorial weekend coming up, I'll have my girl Sandy. I don't know if you've met Sandy yet, but she has a food truck and she has some of the best food in the Tampa Bay area. Best fish and grits.
Really?
Best shrimp and grits in the Tampa Bay area. So
I gotta check
she's
that
gonna
out.
she's gonna have her food truck here for Memorial Day weekend, Saturday through Monday.
Nice.
So if anybody's in the South Tampa area, Dignitary Cafe, 4817 Southwest Shore. We're gonna have a little food truck in the back. So you come through, eat, have some kava and kratom. We have soft drinks and coffee, but just come get some wonderful food and enjoy the holiday. You got to come by, man.
Yeah, I'll definitely be by, no doubt about it, my friend. All right, my brother, thank you so much. I'm only doing an hour show today because I'm actually gonna go check out Simeon over at $1 because he's getting honored. They're doing the big announcement and everything. So I'm sure all the other dignitaries and everybody will be there. So I appreciate you, brother.
Tell Simeon
Yeah.
I say what's up. I thought me and him weren't all that good for a while, and then we met up at some event, and I was kind of G'd up. He looked at me and he goes, "You got some flavor," and I said, "So do you." And that was it. So then we kind of bonded that way. So I think me and him are cool.
Hey, the flavor of Tampa Bay never ends.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right, my brother. Thanks, buddy.
All right, bro. Playboy.
See ya. The one and only Ian Beckles. Great stuff as always. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at a guy like Simeon Rice. And yeah, bringing up a good point with the quarterbacks, right? We just don't know, right? We just don't know with some of these guys. It's a prove it year for a lot of them. I want to see what Trevor Lawrence is all about. I want to see what a lot of these other guys are all about because everybody keeps telling me how great they are. Some breaking news when it comes to USF. Unfortunately, Coach Mitch Hahn is letting everybody know that first baseman Sebastian Greco out for the AAC tournament. He was under the weather over the weekend against East Carolina. Really, really sad that is where we're at with him because he had such a fantastic season for them. Damn, that freaking sucks, man. Freaking sucks. All right, let's get to some of our quick hits. Everything that was going on over the weekend. USF Softball, unfortunately, their season is over. What an incredible win that they had over Auburn. Josie Foreman doing what she does best. The ops field grand slam from Camille Ortiz-Martinez. The home run from Kathy Garcia Soto. Unfortunately, they lost to Auburn. They lost to Florida State, and then they lost to Auburn. But, wow, what a season. What a season for Coach Ken Erickson and the USF Bulls on the softball side. Made us proud, and this is just the beginning. Unfortunately, Josie Foreman, her career is over. Alana Rivera at shortstop, but a lot of good players coming back as well. So a shout-out to Coach Ken and everybody over there at USF. The New York Knicks defeat the Boston Celtics in an absolute beating. They smoked the Boston Celtics. And listen, I find it kind of weird now that people are picking against the Knicks in the series against Indiana or saying like, oh, whoever wins is going to lose in the West. Like all these people are hating on the Knicks because they're bringing a level of excitement to the game that we haven't seen. Listen, MSG is the Mecca. You see how many people there. I just watch these games, regardless if you're a fan or not. Look at how many former Knicks are there. And we're not talking just about the, celebrities on front row. We're not, the first row and looking at the Ben Stillers and the John McEnroes and Stings and Bad Bunnies and Fat Joes of the world. Yeah, they're there all the time anyway, right? But look how many former Knicks are there. You have, and from every generation, you're going all the way back to Walt Clyde Frazier and Bill Bradley to Bernard King to Patrick Ewing to Latrell Sprewell and John Starks and Tim Thomas and all these different guys, Allen Houston and Larry Johnson. Like it just means a lot for those guys to be able to be back there and to see. And this is a team that really has struggled over the years. And they've been, one of the most futile franchises in all of sports. And now they're good and they're built the right way and they play hard. And you see Karl Anthony Towns was at the Yankee Met game last night in the Bronx and getting a big time cheer. And this is a guy that, for Cat, people thinking he was soft and people want to try to run him out of town in Minnesota. And now he's loving life. And both of those teams are enjoying the spoils of that deal. When you look at the Knicks and, what Karl Anthony Towns has been able to do to take some of that heat off of Jalen Brunson and to be able to be a force in the middle. Then you will look at what Julius Randle has been able to do in Minnesota alongside Dante DiVincenzo. But Randle's the big piece in that trade, helping out Anthony Edwards. And now they have a big-time matchup with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, how great would it be if the Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves would be in the finals? That'd be pretty freaking badass. But, hey, hell of a game. And, listen, doesn't take anything away from what happened with the Boston Celtics this year. Obviously, it would have been great to see if Jason Tatum was healthy, these teams going at it in full force. But, listen, there's no guarantee that they would have won anyway because, listen, they blew 2 20-point leads with Jason Tatum in the lineup, and they were losing the game that he was hurt in anyway. So it is what it is. Staying in the Big Apple, Juan Soto returning to the Bronx this weekend. the Yankees win 2 of 3 over the Mets. And I don't know about you guys, but if you watched any of the games, especially the one last night on Sunday Night Baseball, Juan Soto looked miserable. He looked miserable. And early on in the series, I think he was kind of smiling and making the most of it. And, Yankee fans turned their backs to him. He threw a ball into the crowd. They threw it back. He looked absolutely miserable. And I tell you what, man, I don't see, and I think Juan Soto is going to be, I think he's going to be okay this year. I think he's a guy that he's so good in pressure situations that I think he could have some postseason, big moments for them. That's why you get him, but you better get to the postseason. And the Mets are having a good season, so it looks like they'll probably be playoff bound. But man, just looking at the average and looking at what he's doing, all that money you paid him. And then the story last night on Sunday Night Baseball that, right, he's taking like a private jet up to Boston. It's like he was mad that he wasn't getting a suite for his family with the Yankees. And now the Mets have a freaking private jet for the guy. Like, I just don't know how that, you better perform and you better win a championship, because you look at his statistics, he's batting 250. Like, that's not, you look at him versus Aaron Judge, not close. It is not close. So we'll see what happens when it comes to Juan Soto and his future. Scotty Scheffler in the PGA Championship. My goodness, how good is this guy? I picked Bryson DeChambeau, and he was in second, so that was good for me in my fantasy golf thing. But Scheffler, it's just, he gets in this mode. And thank you, Lady Evil, for the kind comments. He just gets in this mode, Scotty Scheffler does, where it doesn't matter what happens around him, and it doesn't matter what happens to everybody else. He'll just go birdie, birdie, par, eagle, par, and it's just boom. He'll gain 4 or 5 strokes in like 6 or 7 holes, and he'll go from being 2 back to 3 up like that. It's amazing. He's just so damn good, man. He really is. It is a joy to watch because he is just so freaking talented. Where does it go? When does it stop? Like, does he continue this play for the rest of the year? I'm not going to bet against him, and you probably shouldn't either. What else? Oh, the Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark thing from over the weekend. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to this, but I want to mention this before we hop off air. If you go look and go see what Robert Griffin III had to say, he was posted a long tweet about Angel Reese and her hate for Caitlin Clark. And I know some people aren't going to want to dip their toe in that because they're scared of having tough conversations. And some people are going to say, well, it's about race, or why do you make it about race? Whatever side you are. But I think there's something to what he's saying here, because Angel Reese literally shoves Leah Boston in the back, like full hand to shove. And then, it's a common don't let her make it foul from Caitlin Clark. And Angel Reese tries to go after her. Like, she didn't whack her in the head. It wasn't like she was in the air and she did something dangerous. Like, she got her, the foul was low. It was on her arms. Like, it was just a lot of anger. And there's just a lot to be, I don't know, that doesn't make me want to watch the WNBA more. Again, I'm one of those people that I've always watched the WNBA. Somebody was hating on social media, like, oh, it means you have no personal life. All right, well, screw you. Okay. I've always watched the WNBA. I watched the finals last year, and I was locked into New York Liberty, a team I've been rooting for since they came into existence with Teresa Weatherspoon and Rebecca Lobo and the crew. But I just think this shit is just, it seems like a forced narrative. And it's just, if you're going to watch it, I want to see great play. I don't want to see like this, where it's just like, it's being forced down our throats. I don't want to see the hate. Great athletes should be celebrated, man. It should be putting on this, putting on stage, and we should be able to celebrate how good they are. And it should be fun to watch. Like, watching the Caitlin Clark shit is not great, because you can't even celebrate her greatness because it's just surrounded by hate. I don't know. It's leaving a sour taste in my mouth. And again, a sport like that, okay, that's losing money, and you need to bring in I don't know if I've ever seen, I said this a couple months ago, I don't think I've ever seen any kind of entity that has done more to alienate people from joining their fan base more than the WNBA. They need to fix it. Somebody needs to have a really harsh discussion with how they demonstrate their professionalism and how they market their product. Because outside of people that are diehard WNBA fans and the NBA players who have really done a great job of supporting them, are you bringing in new viewers outside of Caitlin Clark? And then if you're a Caitlin Clark fan, you watch that. I don't know, man. No bueno. All right, I got to run. Heading over to One Buccaneer Place at the Advent Health Training Center. This is why you want to follow me on social media at Jay Recher. I'll have all the stuff over there. A big thank you to Ian Beckles for joining us on the program. Make sure you like and subscribe. A full program tomorrow at noon right here on the Jay Recher Podcast. I love you all. Be gone. I'm gone. Peace out.